All right, let's get straight to it. We're not just going to talk about immigration policy today. We are going to crack the code, the exact formula you need to absolutely nail that 10-mark question from the Edgefield prelims. Forget just memorizing facts. This is all about mastering the strategy for success.
So, take a look. This right here is your blueprint. You can see the scales of justice, the shield of national security, the engine that powers the economy, and even the hard hat for worker welfare. This isn't just some random list of topics. Nope. This is the 10-mark formula, and we're about to break it down piece by piece.
Okay, think of your answer like a ladder that you've got to climb. Down at the bottom, that's level 2, the basics, where you use a couple of sources. Then you start that climb up to level 3. That's where you show you can see both sides of the argument, a balanced view. But hey, we're not aiming for the middle, are we? We are going straight for the top, the L4 synthesis bonus. That's the crown. That's where those 9 and 10 marks are waiting for you.
Let's make this really sink in. For the next few minutes, I want you to forget you're a student. Instead, you're a top policy advisor. Your mission? To brief the nation's leader on this incredibly complex immigration dilemma. And this whole explainer? Well, think of it as your guide for that super high-stakes briefing.
Every good briefing starts with the #1 concern, national stability. So, your first duty as an advisor is to explain exactly how to protect the citizens. Think of this part of the argument as the nation's shield.
So, what's your first point in this briefing? It's all about protecting public services. And you've got your evidence right here in Source B from Germany's experience. You tell the leader, look at the action they took, limiting family reunification. And the impact? Well, it's huge. It prevents essential services like schools, housing, and healthcare from getting totally overwhelmed. The message you're sending is crystal clear. Prioritizing your citizens is how you safeguard their quality of life.
Okay, next up, you've got to sound the alarm on social tension. You present Source F, where a whopping 58% of Germans believe immigrants take jobs. Then you pull out Source A, that cartoon from the US, which perfectly illustrates how policies that seem to favor wealthy outsiders can really breed resentment among the local population. Your warning to the leader needs to be direct. If we overlook what our citizens are worried about, we risk destabilizing the entire society.
But here's the thing. A truly great advisor always shows both sides of the coin. So you've raised the shield. Now it's time to take the leader down to the nation's engine room. You're going to explain why immigration isn't just a challenge, but actually a vital component for growth. Now it's time to make the economic case. You lay out Source F, and these numbers are pretty striking. 75% of OECD countries need more workers, and high-skilled migration can boost GDP by as much as 2%. Then you bring it home with Source D. For a country like Singapore, with its aging workforce, foreign manpower isn't just a benefit, it's an absolute economic necessity. It keeps the whole thing running.
But you can't just run an engine at full throttle and forget about maintenance, right? That's just asking for trouble. So you use Source E to show that migrants, the very backbone of our industries, are often living in pretty poor conditions. Then you bring in Source D to argue for policies that are anchored in fair treatment. And here's the critical insight for your leader. Neglecting migrant welfare isn't just wrong, it's a massive practical failure that ultimately hurts everyone.
Okay, let's hit pause for a second and check out your briefing dashboard. On one side, you have the agree arguments, protecting services, preventing tension. That's the shield. On the other side, the disagree arguments, boosting the economy, protecting migrant dignity. That's the engine. A successful briefing and a level 3 answer means you absolutely have to present at least 1 point from each of these columns. You've got to show both sides.
And now we get to the final and most crucial part of your briefing. This is what separates a good advisor from a great one. You're not going to ask your leader to just choose a side. Instead, you're going to bring out the scales of justice and show them how to forge a balanced path forward.
This, right here, is how you unlock that huge +2 evaluation bonus. It's not about choosing the shield or the engine. You advise balancing them. Yes, citizens' needs must be met, but not at the expense of the dignity of the very migrants who sustain the economy. What's the ultimate goal? Long-term social cohesion. That is synthesis.
So let's see how this all comes together in the perfect paragraph. First, you acknowledge the impact on citizens, the strain, the resentment. Then, you weigh in with the migrant reality. They are absolutely essential for economic growth. And finally, the resolution. A policy has to balance local resources with humane integration. Why? Because failing to do so just ends up harming everyone in the long run.
That is a top-tier conclusion.
So your briefing is almost complete. Let's just make sure you walk into that exam room with all the right tools and the right mindset. This is your final loadout.
Okay, first, a really crucial warning. This is a trap so many people fall into. Look at the mistake on this clipboard. Germany limited family visas. Well, so what? That's just a description. It'll get you stuck at level 2. Now look at the fix. By limiting visas, Germany ensures citizens do not have to compete for strained public resources, which helps maintain social stability. See that? That is the impact. You have to always explain the impact on citizens or society to unlock level 3.
And here it is, your final exam loadout. I want you to memorize this matrix. It's your entire strategy on one page. Top left, the shield, protect services with source B. Top right, the alarm bell, prevent social tension with sources A and F. Bottom left, the engine, boost the economy with sources F and D. And bottom right, the hard hat, protect migrant welfare with sources E, D, and C. Everything you need is right here.
So, the final question is for you, the policy advisor. Armed with this formula, this structure, and these arguments, are you now ready to brief your leader on the path to a balanced and successful immigration policy? You know what? You absolutely are.